Hey team, it's Naomi Finlay here. Are you wanting to style your property for sale, or are you looking to connect with people but unsure how to go about it using design principles? Is there a particular theme you want to use but you're worried it won't work or it will be too niche? Well, worry not, because I'm here today and I wanted to share with you a few tips of how you can put the right design principles into practice and get it right. So how on earth do you style a property to suit everybody's taste? Well, you know what? You follow some key design principles. That's how you do it. And you don't have to have a degree in interior design to set up a well-styled home. All you need to do is keep an eye out for certain elements that you can make sure you leave the potential buyers drooling over in your property. And that is exactly why I wanted to share with you these 6 elements today. 6, exactly, 6 to be exact. Okay, so the first one is size. The first one's, it's all about a very important design principle of size. Now, most of your potential buyers, they won't be walking in on inspection day with a measuring tape and meticulously calculating the size of the rooms unless they're coming to see what size cot they need to fit into the third room. And in that case, congratulations, because they're already picturing themselves living in that space. So you've done a really good job. But what most buyers will be doing when they walk in to measure a space, they won't be doing it with numbers. They'll be automatically looking at the space and picturing their kids living in it, or their family and their friends coming over for a barbecue. How many people will fit in here comfortably? Are the kids going to have enough space to keep their toys in a room? And what about when they're a little older? Will the beds be large enough? Will we be able to get in enough space into those bedrooms, or will it look cramped? Those are the sorts of measurements that your buyers will be making. So you need to think about how your buyers will react to each space, because at the end of the day, a 3x3 bathroom means nothing to most buyers. It's all about how the space compares to the rest of the property and the functions that they're going to be using it for. That's what matters to them. Now, the second one is scaled. This is the second element. So again, it's not so much about real measurements as it is about the feel of the space. It's not about how accurate the real renovation is compared to initial drawings even. Think about it this way instead. How do the light fittings and the fireplace and the couch and the rug and the coffee table all fit together in the living room? Are they complementing each other? So this element can be a bit tricky to get right, if I'm going to be honest. So that's the thing that I want you to think about before you rush into it. Think about the size and shape of the room and what will fit in nicely into that space. There are 2 ends of the scale here. On one hand, we have picking the wrong thing that can make everything else in the room seem small and insignificant. On the other hand, picking something that's maybe too big or too matchy-matchy can make the whole place just look boring. All right, now the third element, the third principle is proportion. So proportion, it is similar to scale because it relies on looking at how the elements in the room relate to each other. But there's one main difference between the two. While scale compares objects in the room that already have a defined size, proportion looks at everything as a whole. Perhaps the living room is pretty long and narrow. The elements that you can add into there can either emphasise the length of the space or make it appear less so. For example, using a mirror and a wider coffee table can help make that room look more proportioned and less narrow. It's almost as if you're correcting the space to make it appear more attractive. Now, element number 4, this is the 4th design principle and it's all about balance. I want you to imagine you're walking a tightrope. How do you make sure you don't fall off? That's right, you keep both sides balanced on your body, right? So this is exactly the same as using balance in a property. This is literally keeping the right and left-hand sides of the space symmetrical, and it's something we see a lot in traditional homes. So it's a great way, for example, with a square space, to be having an armchair either side of a focal point to give that symmetry and balance to a space, which creates comfort and really helps add up that whole traditional, homely, welcoming feel. Now, I know I said earlier that you don't want to be matchy-matchy, right? But there's a really big difference between creating a room where everything is matchy in a gross, tacky way and creating a room where everything flows in a beautiful, balanced, symmetrical manner. Now, colour. Colour is our fifth design principle that we're going to talk about, and it is so powerful. It can create an emotional connection with a buyer, and yet it can be one of the easiest ways to turn them off as well. And because colour is so subjective, everyone has different tastes, it can be a real make or break for particular buyers. So for example, green can be a great way to bring the outside world in, but at the same time, if you don't choose the right hue and shade, it can be a fantastic way to turn your buyers off. So, where do you go? What do you do? The most helpful thing you can do here is take a look at a colour wheel. This way you'll be able to see which colours complement each other and keep an eye on long-lasting trends and avoid fads, as well as avoiding the colours of red, orange and purple when renovating. Now, number 6, the last but certainly not least design principle is light. You could have all of the other 5 elements and designed down pat and it looking absolutely amazing. A gorgeous, amazing living space. Imagine neutral hues and navy touches, and the whole space looks absolutely luxurious, except it isn't lit correctly. And none of these design elements are going to be able to shine to their fullest potential without lighting. So lighting is so important, and it's probably one of the easiest elements to use and enhance a space. So there are 2 main types of lighting. There is a natural and a man-made. So look at the current light sources you already have in a space. There'll be light coming from the windows, from the doorways, maybe from a skylight, lamps or pendants. Do they highlight the best features of the room? Or are they drawing attention to the wrong things? So think about how the space will be used and then use lights to highlight that. Is there enough light to be able to enjoy some quiet time away from the hustle and bustle of the rest of the space in a reading nook? If so, utilise that. Perhaps pop a soft floor lamp near it to emphasise the function of the space. And likewise, where there's too much light or the wrong kind of light, you'll need to think about how you can correct that. If there's too much harsh afternoon light, or maybe the LEDs are too bright, you need to think about how you can filter, tone down, dim, or block some of that out. So there you have it, 6 ways, 6 design elements, 6 design principles you can utilise and start to incorporate to make sure that your final space looks and feels perfect for potential buyers. Thanks for joining me. Did you know I wrote a book all about renovating to create wealth and freedom in your life? I've added the link below in the description for you. Enjoy.